There was a time I believed peace would show up looking picture perfect, like a home straight out of a magazine. You know, white linens, clean counters, soft music playing in the background. I thought peace meant everything was in its place. The house, the people, the feelings. But the kind of peace I've come to know in these later years, it's quieter than that, heavier in a gentle, grounding way. And it didn't come all at once. It crept in slowly, softly, like warm light slipping into a room I thought would always be dark. Real peace surprised me. It didn't look like perfection. It looked like comfort, familiar routines, and moments that asked for nothing in return. And that's what I want to talk about in today's video. The kind of peace that doesn't shout, but still speaks. The kind that finds you, even in the middle of a messy life. Peace didn't show up with answers or some grand solution. It didn't barge in like a rescue. It just drifted in, like warm sunlight slipping quietly through the curtains. It lived in the little things. A chipped coffee mug drying by the sink. The smell of something baking on a day when I didn't feel like speaking. The soft creak of Tim's recliner chair as he leaned back with the cat sleeping on his lap, saying nothing, just being near. It arrived in the quiet moments, the kind I used to drown out with noise. TV, background music, busy work, anything to keep from sitting still. But now I lean into that stillness, because in the quiet, I finally learned how to breathe again, not just survive, but really exhale and let peace take up space where fear once lived. Peace didn't arrive in a tidy package or fall into my lap one day. No one handed it to me. It wasn't something I found. It was something I learned to make, little by little, in the way I responded, in the moments I chose quiet over conflict, in how I started showing up for my life with tenderness instead of tension. It wasn't born inside a dream home or behind a perfect front door. It was born here, in this old trailer tucked under the trees, where the floorboards creak and the windows don't seal quite right, where the curtains came from the thrift store, and so did half the dishes. But the air inside, it's warm now. It carries the scent of coffee in the morning and something baking in the afternoon. It carries the memory of quiet days and laughter in between the hard ones. And that feeling, that safety, Tim and I built that together. Our house doesn't shine for the cameras, but it wraps around us like a blanket. It knows us. It moves with us. We don't have a designer kitchen, but we do have a stove that's seen 100 homemade meals. A tiny table that's held our prayers and our Sunday pancakes. A living room that smells like cinnamon or vanilla, depending on the candle I've lit that day. The couch is worn, but it holds every conversation. The furniture doesn't match, but it all fits. There's a rhythm here, a quiet pulse, and it's become home in the truest way. Tim folds his clothes slow, with care, like time doesn't need to be chased. We bump hands reaching for our favorite mug, and one of us always smiles first. At night, the lights stay low, just one lamp cast in its glow, soft and golden, like the peace that lives here now. It's not fancy, but it's full, not of things, but of meaning. And maybe that's what sacred really looks like. You know, after everything I've been through, the stress, the broken relationships, the fear I used to carry around like a backpack, I didn't realize just how much I needed something calm, not something big or dramatic, just a soft place to land. For the longest time, I was always on edge, always explaining myself, always trying to be less, so I wouldn't be too much for people. I was used to walking on eggshells in my own life, but here, in this little home with Tim, I don't have to do that anymore. I don't have to perform or shrink myself down or pretend everything's fine when it's not. I get to just be. And Tim, he's never asked me to be anything but myself. He doesn't need me to talk when I'm quiet. He doesn't flinch when I'm emotional. He just stays. He's steady. And that alone has brought me so much healing. We don't have fancy moments or big picture perfect wins. But what we do have is this quiet rhythm, soft light in the evenings, the smell of something warm in the oven, a candle flickering in the kitchen. That's the kind of peace I didn't even know I was looking for. Most mornings, I wake up before him. I wrap up in my old worn-out robe, shuffle out to the kitchen, and start the kettle. The house is still. The cats are curled up somewhere, and the world hasn't quite started yet. I light a candle, stir my tea slow, and just breathe. It's not about getting anything done. It's not about jumping into a long to-do list. It's just about sitting with the quiet and letting it settle into me. Because now I want the stillness. I used to run from it. I'd turn on the TV or music, fill every second with noise, just so I wouldn't be left alone with my thoughts. But now I crave the hush. I let it fill the room while I make dinner or sit with a blanket in my lap. And in those moments, I finally feel it. Peace. Not the magazine perfect kind. Not the look how put together I am kind. But the real kind. The kind that doesn't need to be loud to be felt. The kind that wraps around you like a warm blanket and says, "You're safe now." This house isn't fancy. The furniture doesn't match. The floors creak, and my curtains came from Goodwill. But it's home. It's ours. And after everything I've walked through, that's more than enough. Because for me, peace isn't about perfection. It's about not being afraid anymore. There was a season in my life when every little noise sent a jolt through me. A footstep on the porch, the floor groaning under someone's weight, a door shutting a little too hard. Even the silence used to feel threatening, like it was holding its breath, waiting for something to go wrong. But now when I hear the floor creak down the hall, I know it's just Tim starting his day. When the wind taps at the window, it just means fall is getting closer. And the silence. It's not scary anymore. It's settled. It's soft. It feels like safety. Tim didn't just learn about me. He learned me. He picked up on the way I tense when someone walks up behind me, the way I scan a room before I sit, the way I used to brace for bad news, even in the quietest moments. So now, even though I don't flinch like I used to, he still says gently, "It's just me, sweetheart," every time he walks in. Not because he has to, but because that's who he is. Because he loves me in a way that makes me feel safe, not small. And it's the everyday sounds that remind me I'm okay now. The soft pop of toast from the toaster, the gentle click of the kettle finishing, Tim pouring my coffee before I even ask. That's the sound of comfort, the sound of trust, the soundtrack of a life I never thought I'd have, where peace isn't something I hope for, it's something I live in. If you're in a season where you're trying to rebuild peace out of everything that's fallen apart, you're not the only one. And your peace? It won't look like anybody else's. It'll be your own. Rooted deep, built slowly, held close. There's no clock on healing, no straight line to follow. But I hope somewhere in the middle of your day you find a small reminder in the smell of something baking, in the way your home feels just before dinner, in the quiet presence of someone who stays close, even when you don't have the words. Thanks for being here with me. And if peace still feels far off, hold on. You're not behind. You're becoming. And you are already enough. See you next time.